began to drum again, urging her to dance. Seeing that he was not going to give up, Oma began to make small hip movements to the tune of his beat. After all, what did she have to lose? He was a stranger. Time ago, in the village of Olu, there was a princess named Oma. She was the first daughter of King Dike. Unlike her three younger sisters, Oma was unmarried. Her body size was the reason she didn't have any suitors. She was extremely fat, and the villagers would often mock her behind her back. Gossip about her size was common. I heard they tied 3 wrappers to go round her waist, while others would joke, "Did you hear she finished a whole big pot of soup and fufu just in a day?" King Dike and his wife, Queen Nneka, were troubled about their daughter's weight. They had tried several times to set up arranged marriage for her, but nobody was interested. Oma, on the other hand, had given up on herself. She was so addicted to food that she couldn't imagine becoming slim in her lifetime. She believed marriage would probably not be an option for her because any man who agreed to marry her would be doing it for her status, not because he loved her. Oma had always desired to be loved by whoever she married. Although generally unhappy with her life, Oma found a bit of happiness in dancing. The princess was a fantastic dancer. Often, she would hide in her hut and begin to dance to the beats she made with her mouth. Whenever there were festivals like Christmas, New Yam festivals, and so many other festivals in the village, Oma would look for a lonely spot close enough to hear the music and dance to her heart's content. She was always hiding because she did not want anyone to mock her. It was the end of another successful year, and it was time for the annual festival. Before the 4 neighboring villages, as usual, everyone was excited. Some people couldn't wait to showcase their best dresses, while others polished their dancing steps and practiced endlessly with their musical instruments. Many were eager to enjoy the variety of meals that would be served on that day. Oma, however, was only interested in finding a lonely spot that would give her the freedom to express her dancing steps. Finally, she found a spot where she could hear the drums and flutes clearly. With a wide grin on her face, she began to dance. As she danced, Oma soon noticed the sound of a drum becoming louder and louder. She ignored it at first, being engrossed in her dancing. Suddenly, the festival music stopped, but the sound of the drum continued. She immediately turned and saw a man playing the drum with a huge smile on his face. The man stopped playing and asked, "Why did you stop dancing?" Startled and embarrassed, Oma began running. But because she was too heavy to run fast, the man caught up with her. "Leave me alone," she said, panting. "Go and look for your comedic relief somewhere else." The man looked at her kindly, wondering why she thought she was a joke to him. "I got lost trying to get to the market square, and I was trying to find my way when I saw you dancing. So I decided to support you with my drums," he said. Oma took a better look at his attire and realized that he wasn't from her community. She thanked the man for drumming for her and directed him to the market square. But the man insisted that he would rather continue to play for her. Without Oma's approval, he began to drum again, urging her to dance. Seeing that he was not going to give up, Oma began to make small hip movements to the tune of his beat. After all, what did she have to lose? He was a stranger. She would never meet him again, and she had the opportunity to dance like she always wanted. After a long while, Oma stopped dancing. "Thank you, Mr. Drummer. I really enjoyed myself," she said to him. "My name is Ifeka, not Mr. Drummer," he answered. Oma told him her name and said she had to return home. Ifeka pleaded with her to come back the next day, and Oma agreed. On her way home, she thought about Ifeka, wondering why he was so nice to her and even wanted to spend more time with her. "Of course, he's not attracted to me," she thought to herself. To Oma's understanding, it was unusual for such a handsome man to like her. All night, she couldn't stop thinking about him, but she tried her best not to get too excited. In the evening of the following day, Oma set out to meet her new friend Ifeka. When Ifeka set his eyes on her, he was so excited, and Oma was excited to see him too. They talked for a long time and got to know each other. Afterward, he drummed for Oma to dance. Days turned into weeks, and they kept meeting each other at their spots. To both of them, it was always the best time of their day. Finally, Ifeka told Oma how he felt about her. Although Oma suspected he liked her, she did not want to jump to any conclusion. She was very happy when he finally voiced it out, because she felt the same way too. "I can come with my people on the next market day to see your parents," he said. Oma quickly informed her parents that a man from the next village would come to see them to ask for her hand in marriage. King Dike and Queen Nneka were very excited and happy. They never thought a day like this would come, but unfortunately, calamity soon struck. A week before the arranged meeting, an airborne disease spread throughout the entire 4 villages and their surroundings. To prevent the disease from spreading, each village closed its borders, and their rulers instructed them to stay indoors. Oma was very sad that her future husband would not be able to see her every day as usual. To make matters worse, some days after the borders were closed, Oma contracted the airborne disease. For more than 3 months, she struggled to stay alive. The illness greatly affected her appetite, making it very difficult for her to finish even half a plate of food in a day. As the months went by, a herbalist found a cure, and people gradually began to feel better. When Oma fully recovered, the first thing she discovered was her massive weight loss. She could not believe it. She was almost as small as her 3 sisters. It was a dream come true for her. Oma realized that wherever she went, men stared at her in admiration. Even those who never glanced at her before now approached her for conversation about marriage. Oma began to feel on top of the world again, and all of a sudden she felt too good for Ifeka. When the borders were finally opened, Oma went to their spot to wait for him because she knew he would definitely be there. When Ifeka set his eyes on Oma, he almost did not recognize her. "Wow, my princess, I missed your beautiful smile," he said. Oma gave him the cold shoulder. She felt too mighty, too precious to be in his presence. Ifeka thought she was only acting up because she had missed him so much. So, he began to play the drum for her to dance. But she shouted at him, ordering him to stop the noise. "Mr. Drummer, I am not interested in whatever you are playing. I only came here to tell you that I am not interested in marrying you anymore," she declared. Ifeka was alarmed at her change in behavior. "I know you have never been with a princess before. That is why you are always smiling like a goat," she scoffed as she stormed out of the place, warning him never to reach out to her again. They did not belong to the same caliber, she thought. Weeks passed and Ifeka kept sending messages and messengers to Oma, hoping she would have a change of heart. But she ignored all of them. Instead, she entertained the long line of men who were interested in marrying her. One day, she came up with an idea. Oma decided to host a wrestling competition for the eligible bachelors in the village, and anyone who emerged the winner would be crowned as her suitor. The competition was set and it went beyond the borders of her village. Many men signed up to win the heart of Oma, the first daughter of the great King Dike. The king even invited royalties and affluent people for the event. Oma decided to stay indoors for the next 4 months to receive the best beauty treatment to woo her suitors, but she failed to recognize that it was the illness that had made her slimmer. Her old eating habits remained the same, so while Oma was indoor, she kept eating her large portions, and day by day the weight began to pile on again. When the 4 months had elapsed, Oma had returned to her previous size. She was disappointed in herself and tried her best to cancel the event, but her father refused. "I'm sure you will find a suitor regardless of your present situation," he said to her. On the day of the event, warriors, farmers, traders, and many eligible bachelors made their way to the village square, preparing to win the heart of Oma. But when Oma was called out to greet her visitors, the men stared at her in shock. She wasn't what they bargained for, and one by one they began to walk away, making their way home. Oma had never been so embarrassed. When she was about to leave the place in shame, her eyes caught a familiar figure. It was Ifeka, but it wasn't the Ifeka she was familiar with. He was dressed like royalty, very different from the basic material he wore to their meetings. They looked at each other for a while, and a voice soon interrupted their gaze. "My prince, your father is ready to leave now." Just like Oma, Ifeka was royalty. His father was the king of one of the 4 villages, but because of his love for music, he would usually disguise himself to play with everyone during the festivities, especially on Christmas Eves. He did not want to be treated specially by the other villagers. As Oma watched Ifeka turn his back and begin to walk away, she realized that she had lost a good man who loved her regardless of her appearance and looks. It was such a pity because she never got the opportunity to find love again, and eventually she had to settle as the 13th wife of an old chief in the village. Thank you so much for watching this story, and I hope you enjoyed it. Kindly drop in the comment section what you learned about this story, and please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Share to your friends and loved ones. See you in the next one. Bye.